All right. So we are welcoming Jennifer Ankele, who is a medium psychic, licensed clinical social worker, Kundalini yoga instructor, Reiki master, past life regression hypnotherapist, and author. She has been providing end of life and grief therapy from the ICU, outpatient therapy, palliative care, and hospice since 2004. We love you. Welcome back.
Thank you. I love talking to you. You both are a lot of fun, and you let me talk about my favorite subject. So thank you for having me.
Of course. Well, just to give the listeners a little inside scoop. So we actually, Jennifer, you're so gracious to come back and talk to us again because we recorded with you a week ago and it was our first time recording in person, and we just didn't quite think about all of the audio setup like I should have. And so anyway, you're so gracious to come back and talk with us again.
Huh? Like I said, my pleasure.
Well, I want you to just kind of start. I would love if you could start with just your story, like from when this started for you, how you got into it, and how it's developed into your life.
Okay. So, I mean, my earliest memory of seeing spirits probably was I was in a crib. So, two or three, something like that. I remember seeing faces and people talking to me. And I actually, growing up, like from six and under, was afraid, very much afraid of what I saw. Um, Around the house, there was like a man standing near one room, and I thought it was a man. I didn't think it was a spirit. It was just this man who would just look. He looked into the window. So he was on the other side. He was outside looking in, just looking in. But the house we lived in was like a built in the 20s, and they're elevated. So there's no
Mhm.
way a person would be tall enough to just look through the window. And I could describe how clearly I saw him. And those kind of things were like that my whole childhood. I would sleep with my head under the covers. Um, Whenever as a little girl I had to use the restroom, I would run to the restroom and I would sing, and I would sing out loud, and I would wake up my house, my mom, and they would wake up, and my mom would say, she knew why I was singing. She knew I was afraid, and she would just tell me to sing quieter. But so that was my early childhood, and then by the time I hit 12, I kind of thought this was cool. So I felt comfortable and I realized by then it was spirit. And so I would have seances at slumber parties. I bought a tarot deck at a bookstore and I would read for my friends. I went to Catholic school, and I would sit at the lunch benches and read for them, give them readings.
Wow.
So that was just something at that point I embraced. But I embraced it, but I never really, I had in my life. I had all the normal things that people had to experience, I experienced. And I went to school and I felt a calling to work with people who were dying. And so I specialized in healthcare as a social worker, a licensed social worker, and started immediately working at the huge general hospital that we have in LA, working in the ICU, trauma and with death. And I felt very comfortable. And the reason why, of course, I feel so comfortable with passing, I call it passing out, but with dying is because I know there's no death. And so that's kind of then I worked as a social worker for many years since 2004. And I would say about 7 years ago, I started to feel this itch that I'm not quite satisfied anymore with what I'm doing. I feel like I'm supposed to do something else. And then I just realized, oh my gosh, I could be a professional medium. I can do what I've been doing my whole life, talking to spirits. I would give my friends readings, talking to ghosts. I would do all that, but I never thought professionally. And then I found out there was a school in the UK, and I went there, and then I've continued to go there and be mentored by mentors. And I started professionally a couple of years ago.
Wow. I like what a powerful story of sorry, hold on one second. What is that noise?
Oh, it's the air conditioner. It'll go off in a second.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What a powerful story of like how you came into this, and like it's crazy how it came to you so young.
Well, and I love that it goes from being like a curse to being a gift. Right?
Yes.
That's so neat. Go. Did you have
Well,
something?
I was gonna just say, so the listeners know I got a reading from you, but Jared got one too.
Yes, I did. Which was really fun.
Um, do you want to go into detail about what your reading was?
Oh, we want to go there now?
Or what did you have questions for Jennifer?
Well, I was going to ask, I mean, so, because to me, right, working as you do with like end of life stuff, I'm wondering if we can like talk a little bit about death generally.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. This is just so funny because Jared and I's like how we view the show and like what we bring to it. I'm always the lighthearted, the laugh. And I'm like, let's talk about your reading. And Jared's like, let's talk about death.
Well, no, because I thought what Jennifer just said is really cool of like, there is no death.
Yeah,
and I think like,
of course,
it's this big, heavy thing that we're all like afraid of and don't ever talk about. And it's as much a part of life as being born.
Of course. I'm just teasing you. Yes. Right? Let's talk about death.
Jared, I have to agree with you though. It's a natural process. And just like birth, I feel that, we need to talk about it more too. And I think that would take away some of the stigma. But I don't believe there's death. It's just like crossing over. It's just leaving the physical body, which is very constrictive actually. We're freer on the other side. So, I mean, we go on and on and on. We're infinite and we are with our loved ones forever. And I believe in past lives. And I believe that we will continue to be with our loved ones in various roles throughout eternity.
Did you also like read people's past lives for them if they're interested in that, or has that ever come to you?
Oh, sure. It definitely does. When I give readings, like the two that you got, I'm surprised nothing from life. Sometimes they'll come out, or if you specifically ask me for it, then I can tell you about your past life.
That's super interesting.
Do you want to tell us anything right now?
Leanna's always pumping Jennifer for more information.
It's just so fascinating to me. I just love it so much because I'm like, we talked about this on our last week's episode with Kane, but I'm like such a sucker for like completing stories, like completing like someone's personality. Like I want to know what it is, like what's their Enneagram, what's their Myers-Briggs, what's their love language. I want to know like what's my past life.
Yeah, you want to like uncover all the mysteries.
Yeah,
right?
I'm like
Well, shoot, I just forgot what I was going to say. God dang it. Give me
I could say something. I remember telling both of you last time that I think you were brothers and sisters. And
that's right. So, okay. So in the last time, Jennifer, Jared and I spoke with you, I asked you specifically because our listeners we had this episode, like, guys, we're not going to be together. So I asked you, I'm like, Jennifer, do you see Jared and I like being a couple, romantically compatible? Like, what comes to you? And then do you remember what you kind of read for us?
Oh my gosh. If you were to be together, it wouldn't last. Like, it wouldn't be the way as if you stayed friends. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't be as long going. Like, you can be friends forever. If you had a romantic fling, it would be more of a fling. But you are connected. You're very compatible. You care about each other. And I saw brother-sister relationship for sure. And as I'm even linking in, I feel like it's funny. I just got France and I saw you guys on a hillside, and it's probably a couple hundred, maybe 100 or so years ago, where you two were kind of didn't have a lot of money and struggled. I'm just telling you what I'm picking up.
No, I think it's amazing.
And that you struggled. but very close, almost like you were twins, or you're very close in age and very close. And I feel like your mother was sick.
Oh.
Oh.
Did we sing on the hills the sound of music?
It'd have to be French, right?
Oh yeah.
We should be like, we should wear like French Halloween costumes. Like I'll wear a beret and stuff like that.
Sure.
That would be,
Next
like,
Halloween we'll do
typical-
it. We'll be French brothers and sisters.
yeah, it's like people are like, what are you guys? Been like, oh, we're just twins in France from 100 years ago. That's so funny. Well, okay, so this is what I couldn't think of. Leanna, there was a time in your life where talking to a medium and being involved with that would have been like very taboo.
Very
like-
taboo. Yes.
so like how was it for you in like, even when you first heard about Jennifer and like kind of like getting interested in that?
So I actually booked you, Jennifer, and then canceled. Do you remember?
Yeah.
So my sister knows you. Shout out to my sister, Krista, who was on episode 8.
Mhm.
And she did a session with you. And it was very healing for her. And she came back and she just kind of shared all these things. And I was like, wow, this like sounds, because I think in our healing process, we try what we can, we grasp onto what we can. And, I've been in therapy for, 6+ years, and I'm, do things to make sure that I regulate my mental health and do neurofeedback. And, well, I was going to say I read books, but I don't really read books, but, but all these
You
things.
think about reading books.
I think about, I really like the idea of reading a book. But when she first told me, I was so excited, Jennifer, and I booked a session like that. And then I started feeling this like gut, like fear. It was like fear of what if I uncovered something that I didn't want to uncover? And what would that mean? What door would open that maybe I don't want that door to open? And then I had a horrible experience with another guy, and I just felt so fucking lost. And you can only experience so much of something and get to a point where you feel so defeated, and doing all the same things. And so I thought, this is something after that happened, I just felt more at peace about it. And I decided to go into it with, instead of like a fear, kind of like I prayed before our session that God would show me what he wanted me to see, that he would, because we talk about this a lot. I grew up super conservative Christian. I don't really consider myself a Christian now. But I believe in Jesus, and I have a relationship with God, and I'm very spiritual. And I do believe there's kind of like a dark side. And so then the past me would be like, this is not okay. Like, this is not okay.
Yeah, like this is witchcraft.
This is
like
horrible.
A lot of that
You're
teaching.
opening yourself up to the devil, all of that.
Yep.
And Jennifer, you so like wisely explained to me that it's really just, you're talking to my soul. Like, you're seeing my soul. You're seeing who my soul is talking to, and other souls are coming. It's like, and that resonated so much with me, because I remember on one of our episodes, I had met this guy, and it was like the only love at first sight experience I've ever had. And the way I described it was that our souls met. Like we had been soulmates in the past. And then, well, he ended up screwing me over, but I still really felt like our souls saw each other. And so that really resonated with me. And I felt comfortable doing the session with you. And it was interesting. And I was going to share this with you. I didn't know it would come up so soon, but you telling me about this guy that, our listeners know now. I don't know if anything's ever going to happen with that person, but it gave me hope because it helped me get through the past month, because I didn't feel the need to cling on to a dating app or to feel alone. I felt at peace that like there was someone, and there is someone, and maybe that's not the person that I end up with, but that they're like, it just, what you did, like telling me that everything I'm doing in my career is like the right thing and to keep moving forward. I'm building a name for myself. It takes time. And I just need to keep pushing forward with that. I haven't met the right guy. Like all of these things that you told me are things that you didn't know anything about this, about me. And I needed to hear it. And and now where I am now, I just am like in this state of, I've never felt more at peace with my life, to be honest.
Well, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. That makes me that makes me really happy, because that's my goal. When I give a reading, it's a soul reading, a psychic soul reading, psychic soul angel reading. Before I pray to please give you healing and let your soul speak to you. Because our souls speak to us, but we often ignore it, or we don't listen, or we have to be really intuitive to hear everything our soul. So because I'm very, I could pick up on things. I can read what your soul is trying to tell you and read what your guides and angels want you to know. Psychic means soul. I think it's Greek or Latin. So it's another language, but that's what it means. So it's simply soul reading. And like I said, my goal is always for your highest good and healing, for whatever I say, because life is hard. Like I feel we're here to learn a lot of lessons, and life is hard, not because we have to be punished. That I don't believe in that. I believe though we come here because we want to grow as a soul and learn more. And quite frankly, if we got everything really easy, we would take it for granted. We wouldn't learn a lesson. So we have to experience all the obstacles of life, but your soul knows everything's going to be okay. Your soul is sure you will survive this, and that you will go on and on. And so that's what I connect with.
That's so cool.
I love that.
Yeah. Well, and I'm curious, Jennifer, I mean, I know you can obviously, like, and I'm not asking for details about your other, like, clients and people that come to you, but because that was one of the things as you were talking, Leanna, I'm like, and what I got from my reading was also the similar sense of like lightness and reassurance. And it was just a very, it was just like a very lovely, beautiful, like,
yeah,
thing,
it wasn't weird.
Yeah.
Like at all. And I think that there's a stigma around it, right? Like, well, is it like a seance, like something like that? And you're just talking. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's okay. No, you're right. But I was gonna, so I think my question is like, what do you feel like people are seeking from you when they sort of seek out a medium?
So for a psychic reading, it usually is there's a problem, or they're wanting some assistance. And if they want to, because I connect with people who have crossed over as a medium, then they're usually wanting their loved one who they miss dearly. They want to hear what they have to say. But either way, it's a heart that needs healing. So I feel I give healing work, just as I do as a social worker, that I feel this role is very healing and very rewarding for me. And all the work I do is done with love. And like I said, before I pray and I meditate, please let this be helpful.
That's beautiful. I had joked around with you after your reading with me that but I'm curious, did I make it harder on you? Because ironically, this is like the one time in my life where I feel like I'm not like riddled with questions and doubt of like, oh, am I doing the right thing or the wrong thing? Or like, what's going to happen in my love life. Like I actually feel like I'm at a sort of settled place. Is it harder when someone's like that for you?
No, because your soul wants to tell you then something else, and usually at that point, um, whatever your soul wants to guide you, what the next step in your journey, I can go there. So you don't have to be like actively in a crisis, or most people do have a question, but it could simply be, what's my next step, or and often when I do these readings, loved ones who have crossed over will come by and say, hey, I'm here too, I'm watching over you, which is very healing in itself as well. But no, you didn't make it harder. What makes it harder is if someone's very closed off, like, I don't believe this, you're phony, you're fake, or if this is evil, and so because they think it's evil, then they're closed off.
Yeah.
So then because when I'm just simply, our energy expands. Our energies expand. So I just expand my energy and merge with your energy. That's all I'm doing, and I'm just picking up what I pick up.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's something. Oh,
Hold
go.
on. I'm gonna
Go,
jump
go,
in.
go.
I'm gonna jump in real quick because I'm gonna roast you for a second. So we haven't talked about Jared's reading yet, but I love how Jared's like, this is the first time, like, I feel like I know my blah, blah, blah. And then Jennifer, I feel like what happened though is like you shook things up a little bit because Jared apparently
That's
has
true.
2 babies coming soon.
I mean, not, Jennifer said sooner than I would think. So that doesn't necessarily mean soon.
So like
Right.
January.
Yeah. Get
Right.
out of here with that.
Yeah, like not in a month, but
Yeah.
no, yeah.
And there's apparently a dark-haired woman that I need to sort of let in more.
Why don't you explain your reading a little bit?
God, I'm like trying to remember. So those were like the big bombshells that when I told Leanna afterwards, she was like, tell me everything. And I said those 2 things and she was like, oh my God. Like, you told me I should write more, which I really appreciated, which is cool. You told me something about, when the wind is blowing and I'm standing near trees to like do, which I like that too, and like looking at the stars, and see, like I took all the homework away.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is what's exciting to me. Oh, another one. I actually just was looking into this morning after I meditated, but you talked about sounds being a big thing for me, which is true. Like I'm very like auditory as like a learner, and you had said to look into like these sort of sounds that help people get into like the theta brainwave state, which is like, like basically that's the state that your brain goes into when you meditate and stuff like that. And so I started looking into that this morning.
Wow.
Yeah. But in terms of other stuff, you also talked about me like connecting more with my sister, which I totally agree with and have done nothing to actually have done nothing to do to make a reality at this point. But yeah, those were the big things.
Yeah.
It was cool. And I had this really cool experience like later that night of just being like, oh, everything's going to be okay. Like, and like, I started like, I saw this. Did I talk about this last time? I was on the road and I saw this car drive by me and it like looked like a normal car. And then it got past me and the back end was like so smashed. Like the trunk was like above the roof of the car. Like it was so smashed. And that was like the funniest thing on earth to me. And I was like, this car is just like rolling along. Like, it's just a normal car. Like, I'm like, I guess it's working fine. And then it's like, it's past me and I'm like looking at it, it's in like the lane next to me. And the one headlight is like hanging down. And then the best part was they turned on the turn signal. And it's like the turn signal's like working on the headlight. It's like hanging off of the side of the car. And I don't know, it like, for some reason, that was like a metaphor for life in this very like deep and hilarious way to me. It was like kind of a cool moment.
Wow.
And then I went home and wrote about it because Jennifer told me to.
Well, Jennifer, I want to ask you because, when we talked on Sunday, something that you had told me in our session was that there was still a tie to an ex. And then on Sunday you said, yes, it's still there. And I'm like, oh, how do I get rid of this? Like, I
Mm.
don't understand like how to do it. So I went to Big Bear on Wednesday
Oh,
and I booked an Airbnb by myself. I took my dog and I woke up in the morning. Like actually, no. I'm sorry. I did some journaling that night and I journaled like this, Jared and I found this thing on social media from
Well,
John Wineland.
I thought you were going to say this. The most amazing thing that happened was like right after this person we follow on Instagram, Jennifer, posted like verbatim exactly what you had talked to Leanna about.
So I'm gonna read what he posted.
Well, just to give like what Jennifer was talking to you about was like fully like letting go of an ex in your past and like kind of some like affirmations you could do to sort of like kind of like close that chapter and be at peace with it,
which I didn't understand because I felt I'm not like, even like we're talking about my ex-husband and I don't feel attached to him, like, but he kept coming up. It was like a friend saw him at dinner and told me about it, and then I had a dream about him and he kept kind of coming up, and I'm like, I don't feel an attachment. So what do I need to do to like let go? And you were telling me basically like I need to talk to his soul. Like I need to ask for his soul to be there. And my soul needs to be like, I am going to let you go. Well, anyway, so then we go home and this thing pops up and it says, it's Howard Wills. It says, I love, forgive, and release you completely and totally now and forever. Please love, forgive, and release me completely and totally now and forever.
oh, that's beautiful.
Isn't that beautiful?
And it's crazy. Like I like saw that and immediately like DM'd it to Leanna.
And I had already shared it.
We were just talking about this with Jennifer. Like it was crazy. Yeah.
So I did that that evening. I wrote in my journal. I wrote a new list of, qualities I'm looking for in a partner. And I wrote some things just kind of like releasing past exes. And I had this imagery of like, these past guys would come up and I imagined just my hands sweeping them away and sweeping. It was kind of like, I was like walking through this forest and just whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. And I'm like sweeping all these guys away. And then I could not sleep. I got like 4 hours of sleep, woke up the next day and did a meditation. And I meditated, and you guys can go do the meditation. It's on my social media, on my personal page. It's on my main feed. It's in my IGTV as well. And I meditated and I thought about, because you said that I had walls up, that I have walls up because of this tie. And that's kind of what the tie is like, this person really hurt me. Like there's hurt, there's trauma there. And so I imagined and I meditated that I had this suit of armor, and the armor just started falling off without me even trying. Like it just started falling. And so then after it started falling, I realized that it was okay. And I started grabbing it and like pulling it off. And then it just all came, and I'm like naked. So I'm like completely vulnerable. And there's like this huge, like hammer, like mullet. Would it be like a mullet? Mallet. And I take the mallet and I just start hammering this brick wall. And it just like hammering brick by brick. And the wall comes down and it's kind of like this V shape, but there's a tie, like there's a string across it. And I imagine myself like being like trying to figure out like how I'm gonna break this, because there wasn't scissors, there wasn't anything to cut it. And I just decided to step through it, and it just dissipated.
Wow.
So this was all like
this came to me while I was
visualization.
meditating.
Like you weren't consciously conjuring this.
No, this came to me, and then I led it on Instagram for a live for people, because I felt like it was so powerful. I wanted to share it. And I also wanted to reiterate it to myself. and kind of like manifest it and put it out there.
Yes.
Okay, so now my question is, did I do it? Do you feel like the tie is broken?
Okay. Let me see. First of all, that's amazing what you did. Number one, and that wasn't just your imagination. That was real work, real soul work. When we're in a meditative state, that's when we're able to do that kind of work. So let's see. Okay. So yeah, you feel pretty clear. I don't feel any connection. Yeah, you did it. And I also, so I see you. This is what I see. I saw you in a room that was empty. And I'm looking around. Is there any connection, any cords, anything? And then I saw a beautiful flower wreath around your head.
Oh.
Yeah. That was good. That's good.
Oh, that warms my heart. I'm so happy. I feel so much lighter. I really do. And you know, it's interesting. Like, it's so funny. I posted this video. When my friend had tipped me off that like my ex was at a restaurant, I went and like, so I had to see him. Like, it was like seeing a ghost, you know?
This was before
you
took off the armor and knocked down the wall.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So that was before, but it was interesting. I've never felt more like compassionate towards him.
Oh.
And I just have
Yeah.
this overwhelming sense of like compassion, and really like, I really hope he's what?
I got chills because I see you in the room again with the flowers, and there's a window and the sun's shining through. And the sun shining through is the energy that's coming there. Now new energy can come into you. Like now it can flow in.
I have chills.
Oh my God.
Look,
I'm getting my validation.
do you see it?
Yeah, yep.
Oh
Leanna
my gosh, my
officially
legs and
has-
arms are
yeah.
completely.
Your soul just said yes. I understand that. That's your soul saying yes. That makes sense.
Wow.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Something just happened here.
Okay, so I want to be cheeky a little bit more, and then I think we should talk about manifesting and maybe.
Ooh, I want to talk about energy also.
So Jennifer, I have a question.
Jennifer wants to talk about energy. You see her face?
I did. Jennifer's so sweet.
I love energy though. I love working with energy.
Okay, I want to ask you. So like this guy that, you know, has come to you, or that you can imagine this guy, and stop, go away.
just real quick, so just for our listeners, Jennifer told Leanna about this guy that she's going to meet, and Leanna so far has asked Jennifer 1,500 questions about this guy. And like, it's so funny that you like really want this to be so black and white.
Well,
and
no, but
concrete,
here,
like,
but it's new though. Just give me a second. Just give me a second. Okay. So I'll just tell the listeners real quick, like what we kind of talked about. So he, you know, he's local. We have maybe met before. He's like a friend of a friend, or he's seen me. He's asked about me, but he's shy, and he's intellectual. He has brown hair. It's straight. It kind of comes down. He wears glasses. No facial hair. This is wild. Okay. Here's my question though. This isn't, I guess this was something that I really held on to that got me through. And now I feel like I have to let it go.
Oh, wow. I was not expecting that.
I know, because you tease me too much. So I have to let it go, because the last thing you said to me on Sunday was attract, don't chase. Stop chasing, attract. And you gave me this information about this person. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to this coffee shop like every day. And like, I have to kind of like keep my eyes open. And what if like this person, like, what if he's here, but like, I could meet someone else that like is another soulmate, you know? And I guess I want to hear from you if you can see for me that there's multiple like soulmates, and maybe I'm just ready now to like, I don't have to be tied down to one thing or one piece of the puzzle, and like I'm ready to kind of like accept something different.
Yes. And so I'm glad that you said that, because we don't know that man that I saw. I didn't give you a time frame, and I didn't feel a time frame of when you were going to meet him. So
Mhm.
we don't know when. And in the meantime, if you're looking just for him, what about all these other possibilities that you could meet, um, who 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 are in your life at that time for a reason, right?
Mhm.
We all come together and we learn lessons from each other. And so when I told you about that window with the sunlight, there's another window on this side with sunlight. And so that tells me the sunlight is a new opportunity. And so there's more than one. There's more than one. Now, do I feel that this guy, the one I first saw, is significant to you? Yes, but I don't know when you're going to meet him. I One of my good friends, I when I first met her like 5 years ago, I told her who her guy is. I described him to a T. She barely met him a year ago.
Mm.
Now, in the meantime, she had other boyfriends, and I was like, nope, nope, they're not the one. But it's not the one. It's not the one. And then this one, they're already talking marriage. She has a promise ring. So so sometimes I get time frames, sometimes I don't. And with your guy, I don't think I got a time frame, but you don't know if all these other guys, and now that you've opened yourself up, most definitely, like I said, that sunlight is coming in.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Well, and it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to end up with this guy, right?
No, it just means no, because you make your fate.
Right.
Mhm.
You're in charge. That's just when I read you, it's someone significant that I see in your path if you continue to do things the same way, but you made some changes. And so now
Mm.
I feel you opened up many windows.
Mm.
Um,
Mhm. Well, and that's actually why was like giving you so much shit about like really, because you were like, when, like, which coffee shop do I go to? When am I gonna see? And part of me was like, because I just felt like it, like to not hold so tightly to it, like, and I don't know, Jennifer, like, what would you say? What is your advice for like if through a reading or something like that, someone learns something about themselves, like how should they approach it? Like, should they be like, like only focused on that, or like what is the right way to like um kind of benefit from something like this?
I would think exactly what Leanna did was that she allowed herself to be open. Now she cut the ties because that was most definitely blocking things.
Mm-hmm.
But to only, like, I don't know everything. I was just shown one thing, but what if there's so much more experiences that you can possibly have? I'm seeing what your soul wanted me to tell you that day, but there's so much more that I don't know, and so the guidance is important, but it's not everything.
Well, and see, that's what I was kind of thinking about. I mean, maybe this guy, like, I will meet him in a few years or tomorrow or, whenever. But also
Or when you're 60.
No, she's young. She looks younger. He looks younger.
but also like maybe I needed to hear that day,
Mm-hmm.
because that got me through the next month,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then I needed to hear it last Sunday. I needed more details. I needed to solve this puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like, okay, I need to like stop, and I need to focus on cutting these ties and
Yeah.
like making room. And once I did that, I'm like, I just I can't pursue anymore. I cannot be the pursuer because I deserve to be pursued. And so that's just kind of where I'm at now.
Good for you.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, and I mean the way I think about it is like it's like signs along the journey, of like little guideposts of like, hey, like hey, here's a little like guidepost about like work you might want to do, or here's a little guidepost about like what to look for in the next couple steps, right? And like, and it's not like exactly like only look at this thing, at this time or this place or whatever. Um, but yeah, and I mean that's the way I've experienced it too, and like really appreciate it and enjoyed it. Um, so Jennifer, I wanted to ask, so let's talk about energy because you also do Reiki work, which I think is sort of similarly related to energy. And like, and one of these things, because I'm wondering as we're having this conversation, if like we sound crazy to people.
I don't care.
I mean, I don't either. But to me, like, I mean, I'm willing to believe just about anything. Although I do like
You
to,
can be skeptical.
I'm a little skeptical.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think like the idea of energy is something, I feel like if you don't believe in energy,
Well, that's like not
like,
believing in gravity.
yeah, like what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
like that there's, because everyone has these experiences that are hard to explain, or you just get, we call it intuition, or you get a vibe off of somebody that's either like very powerful in a positive way or sometimes very powerful in a negative way. And so can you tell us about like, because one of the things I'm also wondering is we might have people listening that are like, I don't think getting a medium reading is for me. But I wonder, Jennifer, are there ways that people can improve their lives or their relationships or even their dating lives by being more attuned to energy? And like, how would you do that?
Okay, I love that. I love that question. Can I just say one last thing to our past conversation? When
Yes.
you said guideposts, that's exactly how I see myself. I'm able to read the signs a little clearer. That's what I'm giving you. I'm telling you the signs that your soul is trying to give. Um, and so I think I want to emphasize that's the role like of a psychic medium. That's what we do. We're able to read clearly the signs, which quite frankly, the more in tune with your own energy that you become, so I could segue in, the more in tune that you become through meditation or sitting still or just perceiving, then you can pick up the signs that your own soul and the universe is giving to you, because we do have help. They know how hard it is. Our soul knows how hard it is. And so we'll give ourselves little cues and guides throughout our life.
Mm-hmm.
I love
Um,
that.
Yeah, and I think it's also like recognizing that the signs will always have some mystery in them or it needs some interpretation, right? Like the signs aren't going to be like drive to 322 Fifth Street at 7:30 p.m. and like something. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? It's
Oh, it
like,
could be.
I wish that they would talk that clear, but they sometimes they'll say like one thing clear and then the rest is kind of like, yeah, they could be pretty vague. The
mhm.
universe can, but the reason why is because we're here to learn a lesson. So if we got think of it as like a test. If we were giving all the answers to a test, what are we going to learn?